Good morning, good morning, good morning. I would like to say thank you for all of those who continue to support the channel, who continue to tune in on the airwaves to the podcast. For all of those who haven't heard, please share, subscribe, do all those good things. Like the content, of course. If you don't like it, please leave a comment so we can get some dialogue going. First and foremost, I would like to apologize for the late uploads. I've been having a hectic month just getting things situated with the office, moving things around, personnel moving around, getting the schedule situated, but everything's starting to settle, the dust is starting to settle, and everything's good. And so I'm not going to keep you too much longer. So I was having this conversation with this couple, and it came about marriages. All right, we're going to talk about marriages, and we're going to talk about the traditional marriage between man and woman. And I was under the impression that everyone was knowledgeable on this subject, but I continue to be reminded that certain things are not inherited. They have to be learned through other people. So I was having a conversation with a few young people. When I say young, of course, I myself am young, but I'm talking about young mentally wise. That's how I feel about it, not an age, but mental and mentality. The woman in the conversation was saying that there's a thing as far as spending time together as a whole, spending time together romantically, spending time together as a family, things and foremost, and so on. I thought that was some of the craziest things I've ever heard in my life. And so this woman decides to give advice to somebody else who asked her a question. Now, I happen to be sitting in the proximity, and I was not a part of the conversation. But that same person who asked them for advice pulled me into the conversation. So therefore, I had to give my rendition, my 2 cents. So the question was, the dude wanted to establish more communication with his old lady. And then the woman said, well, give me an example. He says, hey, I was going to get my old lady some marijuana, some weed, and I went to go pick up my boys. So when I came back to go pick up my girl, or to go smoke or whatever I was gonna do with her, she began to get upset, and she argued and cussed at him in front of his boys. And so him naturally being a prideful human being that he is, he decided to argue with her back in front of his boys. And then he said they stopped speaking, for a couple days. So the woman was like, who the guy asked the question to, she responded and said, well, what you should do is you guys should go to you guys should go to outings together. Like, I have tickets on a cruise, maybe you should go on the cruise. I was like, that is the worst advice anybody could have ever given. Go on a cruise? You want to send these arguing couple who was arguing at the home to get on a cruise ship where they can't get off, and they're gonna argue there? They're gonna sink that ship. They're gonna sink the ship, and everyone is on it. So, of course, another female got into it, and she asked me. Then a guy asked me, what would you do? Because I laughed at it. I laughed at the information that the lady was giving. I was laughing. I was like, wow, a cruise. She said that's what worked for her and her husband. I'm like, yeah, I don't recommend that to everyone, though. Because granted, I said, these two people, because the guy went on to say that they're not married. He's not married to his girl, and then they have a kid together. And I said, okay, well, you guys are having married people issues. You're arguing, and you're not married. And I don't mean married like legally or married with a ring. I mean married mentally. Jump the broom. At one particular time, people didn't need rings or documentation to say that they were married. They just jumped the broom. They changed their mentality, and they grafted onto this person and said, I'm going to be by your side regardless of anything. So a ring and papers don't mean nothing. And so I asked the lead woman who was giving the advice how long her and her husband had been married. She said, oh, we've been married for 20 plus years. I said, now when did that cruise thing happen? You know, when did that happen? She said, oh, it happened about 10 years ago. I said, see, there's a difference. You guys have been mentally married for the past so many odd years. Okay, you guys been together for 20. That happened 10 years ago. So you guys were married mentally 10 years. This guy and this girl just had a kid together, and they probably been together on and off probably for about 2 or 3 years. So they don't have the longevity to know one another as you and your husband have. So I said, look, I knew I was going to stump on some toes, just like I'm stumping some toes right now, and I'm going to say how I feel, and it can be debated on. This is the thing. There's time that can be spent together, like this guy was supposed to go get some weed for his girl. I believe he got it confused. He should have took the weed back to her, and they should have did whatever they was going to do together. When he started to bring in his friends, that's when the issue started. So he has to understand that time spent together with her is time designated for her. And she has to understand that give this man some leeway, because he probably want to go hang with his friends because he spent all his time with you. Now, he has already admitted that he want to make it work with you. But if you're not trying to take him at his whole and everything that he's about, including his friends, then maybe you guys shouldn't be together. And so when I said that, of course, there was some I got some flack for that. So I went on, I kept on going. I said, well, guess what? I'm going to step on some more toes. I said, I was talking, this time I addressed the guy. I no longer was speaking to the women, but they continued to chime in. So I said, look, women are needy. I'm just going to say it. Women are needy. I know somebody will be like, not all women. No, all women are needy, and men are needy too. But women are more needy. They have to be constantly reassured that they're pretty, constantly reassured that they're loved. They have to constantly have someone in their face and to be hugged. That's just point blank and period. There's nothing you can do about that. And that's not always a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. You just got to make sure that as a man, when you're with this woman and this needy woman, you have to give her the designated time that she needs, or she's going to look for it for somewhere else, or she's going to pick at you to give her what she wants, but she's not going to tell you that that's what she wants because she don't even know what she wants. Women, you have to understand that men are nomadic. Not nomadic sexually, but nomadic as in mindset. He can do 5 or 6, 7 different things, but he can't fully focus on one thing, because then he'll start to become irritated and agitated and fidgety. He can't sit still. He can't explain it. It's just he feel like he always got to go do something. Like today, I have a day off from work, but for some reason I can't sit inside the house all day. I have to be out. So right now, guess what I did? I'm going to work. I called in to go to work because I can't sit at the crib all day. That's just, I don't know why. Maybe that's just me, but I believe it's all men. I've noticed that about every single guy I've come across. He's always constantly busy. Either he's building something, going to hang around with somebody, motivated to create some type of project or something. He's never sitting down for too long. Women have to understand that you got to give a man space. Look, you got to come to the table together. First of all, y'all both got to come to the table together. Now, I'm still talking to this guy. I'm like, you both got to come to the table together. You got to let her know that when I'm with you, when we wake up in the morning, I'm with you. When we in the bed at night and I'm kicking you and we rolling over and I'm spooning you, that's us together. That is time spent together. It might not be conscious time where you're up blinking at one another, but that is time spent together. Because think about it like this. If you were not laying in the bed with that person, you would want that person to be there to lay with you in the bed. So take that moment right there when you're sleeping as time counted. That is time counted. When he wakes up in the morning, you guys share coffee and y'all swapping spit with your morning breath because y'all want to have some afternoon delight. That is time spent together. When he comes home from work, if he does, and he told me he's the type to go to work and come home, that is time spent together. When you guys are eating dinner with your child, that is time spent together, and it's family time spent together. Now I told him, do y'all often go out on dates? He says, no. Usually we just eat in the crib or we go out as a family. I said, look, when you first met her, who was there? Just you and her, right? I said, look, you got to take it back to its root. You got to take her out on a date. Show her around a little bit. She want to be showed off. It don't matter if she look like a horse. Show her off. That's what she want to be. She want to be seen as that, and you with her. You said you want to be with her, so you got to accept that. Now, women, I go back to the women. Now this time I addressed it the young girl, not the older lady who was married for 20 years. I addressed the young girl who kind of was in agreements with the older woman. I said, look, you can't be in this man's face all day long. I said, there's no way he live with you, right? First of all, he lives with you. Y'all live together. So he comes, you got his clothes is there. He there every night. He falling asleep there every single night. You're in his face then. You can't be hounding him with text messages and phone calls and emoticons talking about, hey, what you doing? I'm going to work. The same thing I told you I was going to do before I left when I had my bacon in my mouth. She got to understand that her boundaries have to be rearranged and reworked. She can't be all over you all the time. And I know some guys will be like, no, man, you speaking recklessly. Okay. We're gonna keep it like this. When you first met each other, you guys were alone, right? It's gonna be difficult for you to try to get your lives together when you're too busy shoving that attention stick down each other's face. And then when you get older, you can't stand to be around each other. Everything is decent in moderation. Everything is good in moderation. What you have to come to grips with is what time frame and what does time management mean to you. I can give you a decent example, then I'm gonna cut it off. I'll give you a decent example. If you're able to go to work, get your work done, and be productive, and if you're able to do all these other things like you're supposed to do, that's what's supposed to happen. And your time management should be a constant reflection of that. If you're able to get everything done in that day, because there's a lot of hours in 24 hours. I don't understand why people can't get stuff done. Why are you sleeping for 16, 17 hours? Complaining about you ain't got enough time in the day. No, you enjoy sleep more than you enjoy your effort. You enjoy sleep more than you enjoy your success. And if you want to have a successful relationship, you need to designate certain times to everything. Because people love to say, oh, you can make time for whatever you want to make time for. That is true. You can make time for whatever you want to make time for. But you gotta be mindful. You got to be very mindful about what time you spend where. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the content, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, of course, leave a comment in the comment section. I'll leave my email in the description box. And you guys continue to have a good day, and make sure you stay out of the sun because it's hot out.